began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that it's one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them. Yo, what up, everybody? How you guys doing? Man, it's good to see everybody here today. I'm also glad to be here, sitting here. It's good to see everybody who is joining this a quick session. You know, first of all, I want to apologize for last night. We were supposed to have a session last night, but you know, the host of yesterday, had an emergency. And he informed us before then, so we're not able to do a live stream, to have any session at evening. But you know, it's all good, because right now we're gonna have this live stream, we're gonna have this conversation, which I think is very necessary to carry on. I think it's very necessary to talk about, and you know, that's because of something that I shared a couple days ago, like I believe 2 days ago, and that post, it really went viral, and so many people commented. And I think today during this session, I will try to go through that to answer to read a few of your thoughts. You guys commented, but right before that, I just want to invite everybody to welcome to this session. If you can copy this link and share with somebody, because I believe that this conversation that we are having right now, it's very important. I believe it's something that we don't really talk about, because we are in a state whereby we kind of believe, we believe and we accept what is happening to us, or what has been happening to us, and we embrace that. And I just want to say this before I begin, that I'm not against, punishing kids or something like that, but I think the things that need to be addressed, and especially, in this time of age, if we want to reimagine Africa, right now we are in this campaign called Reimagining Africa, and that's the video that I started with here today. And the idea of reimagining Africa is basically getting back to our roots, to our basic roots, like getting back, deep inside our hearts, and to reimagine again. I mean, we have this Africa that we have right now, that maybe people have told us that, this is how Africa should be, this is Africa, right? But we need to get back to our roots and to reimagine it. Right? We need to challenge ourselves, to challenge our thoughts, to challenge what we know, why we started about Africa, to challenge that, and to find the reality, the truth of Africa. I'm sorry if you guys are going to hear a lot of noises here. It's because I'm outside, as you can see, but again, it's not going to stop me from doing what we're doing right now. Reimagining Africa is the recent campaign that we're going to start with on September, and we already released a little video that shows that. But this is the challenge. It's a challenge that me and you, we both have to, as we continue to pursue this mission and this vision that we are fighting for. I'll put here on the screen for you guys to see. This is our mission. As we continue to pursue this, then we want to remind people from September all the way to December, this is what we are going to emphasize on, to reimagining Africa. The Africa we know, the Africa we started about, the Africa you think, we are trying to reimagining that. And I think part of that is also to talk about this conversation that I'm going to have here today about punishment, and especially here in Africa when it comes to kids. And so there's this one analysis that I'll be sharing with you guys very shortly, just in a few seconds. I'll just pray and then I'll start very quick, because this is a very sensitive topic. And for me, this is very personal topic, to be honest. This is really personal to me, because if you're an African and you are in Africa, you have African family, African parents, then I think you and me, we both have the same experience. You know what I'm saying? But it's a time to address it. All right. Not out of anything, man. I love my old people. All right. I love my parents. I know you do love, but this is something that we need to address, because I don't want to do something like that. Something that was done to me a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? No offense if my dad is watching this, or my mom. No offense, but I don't want to raise my kids in that manner, because it's very dangerous. And I'll tell you guys, I'll share with you guys how I felt as a child, because the things that people they're feeling when they're children, when they go through something like that. And believe me or not, that is something that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? That's something that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. You cannot take it. And you guys, you have seen the pictures I've used here before. It's quite sensitive pictures, but I don't have a choice. And today here, I believe maybe we'll have someone who has that experience, someone who have been through something like that. We'll have someone. He doesn't know. I mean, he's coming here to meet me, but he do not know that I'm live right now, and he do not know that I'm going to surprise him. So he will tell us. He will tell us his story, and you guys will tell us your stories as well. So very soon I'll be sharing with you guys the link in the comment section for you guys to come to join and to share your stories as well. If you have any story about what we're gonna be talking about today, if it is something that you experienced before in the past, you guys will let us know here today. I'll share with you the link very soon. But right before that, let me pray a little quick. God, I thank you for today. Thank you for this session and for this time that we're gonna be talking about this topic. I pray for your spirit, and I pray for your understanding and for your love to just be in this place right now. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So this is how I'm going to start, all right? I'll put this little analysis here. I'll read this analysis a little bit for you guys, and then we'll dive in right away, all right? So this one analysis that has been done by, this is Times Magazine, right? Analysis that say hitting children is not an African tradition. And I'm going to read it through, and we're going to have our personal opinion. All right. You guys will have your personal opinion. I'll have my personal opinion about this, and, we're going to carry on from there. So let me remove this one here, right here. And let me extend this a little bit, to be like, let me know if you guys can hear me. Maria Antoinette, thank you for joining me. Can you hear me? Okay, that's cool. Let me read this little quick, all right? And we're going to have a personal opinion. So Cape Town, after South Africa's Constitutional Court last month upheld a High Court ruling that corporal punishment at home is unconstitutional, many parents protested that they were raised that way. It's African culture after all. But it is an African tradition to spank or beat children. And does it produce responsible adults? No. Says the data. Physical discipline is not rooted in African culture, but in colonialism. Studies shows that hitting children contributes to domestic and community violence and can even reduce children's intellectual capacity. The problem is global, and its harmful effects are multi-generational. When children are exposed to violence in the home, there's high possibility for a boy when he grows up to become a perpetrator, and for a girl when she grows up to become a victim, said Isabel Magaya, a researcher at the Center for Child Law at the University of Pretoria. Divya Naido, Children Protection Program Manager for Save the Children South Africa, sought to allay fears of criminal prosecution against parents. It's not in the best interest of the child to have their parents charged and put in jail, she says. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm not going to read all of this, but I will copy this link and share with you guys in the comment section. I'll share with you guys in the comment section for you guys to see, all right? If you want to read this thing, you can read for yourself. Oh, thank you, Marie. So this is the article. You guys can read from beginning to the end. But there's one place that I really want to highlight right here. Let me highlight this place. When a child are exposed to violence in home, there's a high possibility for a boy when he grows up to become a perpetrator, and for a girl when she grows up to become a victim. And this depends on how you actually punish these kids, right? And that's why you have this organization like Save the Children and all those stuff. Okay, spanking is a colonial import. Let me read this first. It say the beating of children was brought to this continent through missionaries and missionary schools. Said Sonia Vohito of the Global Initiative to the End of Corporal Punishment of the Children. And the customs became entrenched across the continent. Pre-colonial means of discipline should be remembered and applied, she said. We need to get back to traditional practices of how children were raised, teaching values through storytelling and illustration. All right. This is really interesting right here. The beating of children was brought to this continent through missionaries and missionary school, said, oh, I think now I understand. That's why Sanosh is always critical about religion. Anyways, and down here said we need to get back to traditional practices of how children were raised, teaching values through storytelling and illustration. So basically what it's saying is that back in the days, the value of African tradition and how we were raising kids, this is how we did. We were teaching values through storytelling and illustration. That's how we raised our babies. We raised our kids. That's basically what this article is saying. But the beating of children brought to this continent through missionaries. So it was brought to us. It's not something that was here from the very beginning. This is according, to this article, right? This is what they're saying. From all the records that we can find, physical discipline of children was not in African culture before slavery. All right, guys, let me highlight that way. From all the records that we can find, physical discipline of children was not in African traditions before slavery. She said, the missionaries, all right here. What's up, missionaries? The missionaries, the colonizers, and the slave traders are what brought corporal punishment to Africa. Come on, somebody. Did you guys hear this before? Did you know this before? From all the records that we can find, physical discipline of children was not in African culture before slavery. All right, I got to find more about this. Before slavery, it was not in African culture. She said, the missionaries and colonizers and the slave traders are what brought corporal punishment to Africa. Let's go on. Oh, I see here. So a report by Africa Child Police Forum, based in Ethiopia and chaired by former Mozambique President Joao Chissano, found that most African children experienced physical violence in school. An estimated, all right, guys, this is very important. Most African children experience physical violence in schools. An estimated 92% sent in Togo, 71% sent in Ghana, 6% in Kenya, and 55% in Senegal. All right, let's move forward. A large study of school in several West African countries found that where corporal punishment was not practiced, pupils score 5 points higher on the average on IQ test. The findings may also apply to physical discipline at home. When you're fearful, your adrenaline spikes, and Bauer. Every adrenaline spikes kill cell in a developing brain. I think I read this adrenaline a long time ago when I was taking biology class. It's something that comes, from your brain, something inside. If there's a doctor here, I believe, can explain to us a little bit further. All right, let's move forward. There's a good evidence said Wessel van den Berg, who manages a positive parenting unit at Sonke Gender Justice and coordinates the Men Care Fatherhood campaign, that children who are exposed to corporal punishment regularly have lower educational outcome than children who are not. To the extent that corporal punishment was used in pre-colonial African society, he said, it was exhibited by the slave trade and colonial influence on slave-dependent countries. In South Africa, it was exhibited by the apartheid regime. With the Constitution Code ruling, South Africa becomes the 57th nation to outlaw corporal punishment, but only the 4th in Africa. After South Sudan, Benin, and Tunisia, supporters hope that non-violence discipline at school and at home will help erode a culture of violence in society, including conflicts around election and sexual violence against women. All right, guys, this is a very long article. Let me continue. The financial cost of abuse. Okay, let's go. According to 2016 study commissioned by Save the Children, which aimed to quantify the social burden of abuse, violence against children, cost South Africa's economy over 15 billion in 2015, about 6% of South Africa's gross domestic product at the time. Professor Kathy Ward, a physiologist at the University of Cape Town, said these findings highlight how preventing violence is also an effective investment that will yield many social and economic returns for South Africa. All right, that's just one country, by the way. In Nigeria, 2014, this survey found that half of the country's children had experienced some form of physical violence by a family member or community members by the age of 18. The resulting loss of earning and productive was calculated to be over 6 billion US. That's US dollar. Those numbers are sure to have risen steeply as conflict and insecurity have grown, largely from Boko Haram attacks in the northeast and conflict between pastoralists and farmers in central Nigeria. That's Nigeria. Kenya's, again, in 2016, that the cost of gender-based violence of survival was over 400 million US. A year report said such violence is perhaps the most widespread and socially tolerated human rights violation in Kenya. Man, all these countries, you're there, man. South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya. Let's go to Namibia. So even in peaceful Namibia, where the government ratified the International Convention on the Right of the Child in 1990 and the Global Gender Gap ranked the country a respectable 16 out of 145 countries. In closing the gender inequality gap, 73% of children in 4 regions surveyed said they had suffered corporal punishment at school. UNICEF warned that, especially in poorest communities, children are beaten, bullied, and not taught peaceful conflict resolution, posing a potential problem for the future. Okay, let's see. Fighting back against rising violence. Let's see what they say. Kariuki Kenya, former Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Youth and Gender, cited the growth of gender-based violence in 2018, saying there had been 357 cases reported in the first month alone. Akili Dada, a Nairobi-based feminist leaders organization, reported that femicide, the international murder of women, including the domestic partners, also increasing in Kenya. In September, while Nigerian and South Africa political leaders were dealing with xenophobic attacks against Nigeria and South Africa, their citizens were rallying to protest violence against women in both countries. This is Africa. A Kenyan registered community trust reports that the protests used to rallying hashtags protect PH girls in Nigeria and I am next in South Africa. All right, guys, you can go on and on and on. Yeah, I think that's until the end. I share the link in the comment section. You can check it out. So that It's little bit finding that was done by these Times, Premium Times, and different people wrote here as well. As you can see, different kind of datas. Um, yeah, it was written by Andre Van Yak and Jerry Chifamba, October 2019. Yeah. So basically, the title, as you say, analysis is hitting children is not an African tradition. So we had this conversation the other day, and I hope, I'll have Paul very soon, but we had this conversation the other day when Paul had, his own guest, and she was here talking basically about all the psychological effects and, how us as Africans, we got used on how we are raising our kids in a punishing way, you know what I'm saying? Like how we punish our kids, and it becomes like something that is normal, we tolerate. For example, she gave an example that, if you find out like in the next house, like kid is crying, like kid is crying, like literally like barking like a dog, like because maybe daddy or mom is punishing that kid, in another house will be even, celebrating, knowing that, okay, he has done something, he deserves it. Like the way that we punish our babies and our kids, it is not different from the way that colonizers, they were punishing our parents. Colonizers, they were punishing our people. That's how, to be honest, that's how Africans were disciplining our kid. And so we were talking about raising our kids in that punishment manner and raising our kids in a very most loving way. What, like using all these two different ways, how they will bring about the results to this kid when he grow up, he becomes someone. Because if you beat your kid all the time, you know what's gonna happen later on when he comes, like when he grows up. For him, like beating something or beating someone is not a big of a deal, because he was beating ever since he was a little kid. So you grow the society, the community that endows violence. Why? Because ever since they were a little kid, they were beaten like dogs. They were beaten like slaves. I really want to go to be very honest with you, but this is the big of an issue in Africa. And maybe before I share anything, I want to share the link in the comment section as well, because I know I'm not the only one to talk about this. You might be here and you want to, raise a point about this, child abuse and violence, that it's always happening, and it always under the arm of, punishment. We need to discipline our kids. We need to make sure that, they're obeying. We need to make sure that they're following, because I'm a parent and you're a kid, then you have to obey me. You have to follow what I say. But is it necessary to beat your kid or to beat children or to beat your students like a little dogs? Is it necessary to punish them in that way? Is it necessary? We have a lot of kids that have been killed because they were punished because of whatever wrong thing they've done. You found a little kid like stole something and you punish them like a dog. Okay, people, they don't really even beat dogs these days. But when I say dogs, guys, for those who are living outside of Africa, you have to understand, here in Africa, people, they beat dogs, all right? So when I say beating like a little dog, if you find a dog like stealing meat, man, that dog is about to die. That's how they beat. I mean, some of the families or some of the parents, they beat kids. I think it's the time. I really think it's the time to have a policy towards punishment to our kids, to our babies. I think it's the time, because even some of the parents that are beating kids, what they're saying is this, that, okay, we were beaten when we were young. They did the same thing to us. That's what they say. Okay, I appreciate it. I have Maria Antoinette here in the line. I want to hear from Maria Antoinette. Maria Antoinette, welcome to the show.
Hello, Miko.
Hey, hello. How are you, my sister?
Well, I'm okay. Just having some mild, but I'm okay. I wanted to say the people use a verse in the Bible to justify this severe flogging of children, but the people who originally had the Bible, the people who had the Torah and the Tanakh, the Jewish people, they do not do this. So somewhere between the passage from Judaism to Christianity, certain perversions were introduced. And this is one of them. Because if you read the literature on parenting from the Shabbat, the Jewish literature on parenting, this is not advocated at all, this practice. They use very sophisticated methods, using emotional intelligence, using methods of reasoning and persuasion. This kind of animalistic cruelty that we are showing towards our children is a product of colonialism, and we need to reject it wholeheartedly. All right? It is neither biblical nor godly, and the Christians who are perpetuating this terrible custom need to be brought to an understanding that it must cease. I attended some years ago, what was it, a seminar held by a nun. And she said she looks back in shame at the way she used to flog the girls, because that is what she was taught. But she has, you know, she educated herself. She did many, she had a degree in psychology in somewhere in, it was either Ireland or Wales or England. And she realized that this custom was wrong, and she stopped. And she used to be a school principal. You see, people need to not be so obstinate and realize perhaps their perspective was wrong, and there's no shame in changing when you know better. So I would like to appeal to the parents. We are not animals. We are above the level of the other beings. We are more sophisticated. This is the year 2022. It needs to stop. There are other methods to raise children.
You know, when I was a little kid, this is what I didn't understand. I didn't understand when, you know, let's say your parents tell you that, you know, I love you, that's why I'm doing this to you. But then, you know, you're like, yes, I know you say you love me, but this kind of punishment, the way you punish me, the way you hit me, is this really love? Like you really have struggle, like you're doubting it, that how can love be this way? How can love be shown this way? Like you must beat me, you must hurt me to show me or to tell me that you love me. Like how can be shown this way? And I remember the other discussion we're having, they were saying that what happen if we start showing love, we start raising our kids or our children out of love, with love, right? Because I mean, I feel like love is the wall that a lot of parents, they're hiding behind. Maybe because I don't have a kid, maybe I don't understand this, but that's what I felt, at least when I was a kid, because all of us were victims, right? If you're raised in a family that, you know, you were being punished, then that means you're a victim. So I didn't understand every time I saw that, you know, why do I need to be punished this way to know that I love? So basically, I couldn't do other stuff because I was scared that I would be punished. So in the long run, you see that you're not really changing anything in me, but you're just scaring me. So I grow up out of fear. Like I'm being scared of my own parents, like the closest people in my life, family. I'm being scared of them because I have this fear that if I make a mistake, I'll be punished this way. And I don't want to be punished this way, then I'm not going to do mistake. But what happens is later on, when you get your own freedom, when you live on your own, that's when you have a broken society, because people, they begin to do whatever the heck they want to do because nobody's there to look, to watch over them, because they never experienced love in their life, but they only experience in a hard way. being beaten, knowing that okay, I'm being loved. So and that's what you learn, because you're a little kid, you see that that's what happens to you. So even you, when you grow up, you know that okay, the ways of showing love is me by punishing others. That's why you have really like abusive kids, right? All these kids, they'll get into the marriage and they'll be abusive towards their wife or their husband. They'll be
Exactly.
abusive towards their relationships. They'll be abusive in the societies, you know, because it's like that's what you have seen growing up as a kid, and that's who you become at the end of the day, because we always, as a kids, we believe that our parents never make mistakes. We believe that. I mean, I think this is something that we can learn from the Western world in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because this analysis says that, it says that this was never. This is what it says. The title. It says that hitting children is not an African tradition, and I read for you guys to see that all these things of hitting and everything, it came, with colonizations, and that's what we adopt. We punish our kids like slaves, and kids, they don't have say. Kids, they just and I hope nobody gets me wrong. I'm not being very pro Western the way of raising my kids or children, but I believe yes, punishment is necessary, but not like the way that we punish our kids, because that's the society that we are raising today, and that's why we are struggling here today. You know.
Yes. I agree with you made a very important point. When people have freedom without the fear of punishment, if they were raised on physical punishment, then they wouldn't be driven enough to do what is required of them because for the love of what they're doing. And we're having trouble in the workplace because of this. All the trouble we are having in the workplace is the result of poor parenting. So I would like to encourage people to read parenting techniques from the Shabbat, and it would help. It would be very helpful, because originally Africans did not brutalize their children as we were taught by the people in missionary schools on the continent. I would like to add as well, there's no shame in reading techniques from the Shabbat, because they are very much in line with our original techniques. This storytelling, such as Anansi's fables and Aesop's fables, Aesop's fables, not Anansi's fables. Anansi was a character in the fables. And as well, you can use drawing, painting, even music. Sometimes children are emotionally dysregulated. The music of the instruments called the kora is extremely helpful. So
Yeah.
we already had the techniques. We rejected the techniques in favor of the brutality introduced by people who really didn't know what they were doing, and saw our children, because of the dark pigmentation of their skin, they saw our children as just little animals running around, and that's why they brutalized them in that way. I don't believe that they treated their own children like this. I have a hard time accepting that.
Yeah.
So,
Indeed. Let me ask this, because this is it's a huge problem. It's a big problem in Africa. And my reach is saying that in the Western too, this happens too. So apparently, in the whole world, this is happening. But in my continent, in Africa, I think this is extreme problem. Um, I remember one day. My mama. Okay, I need to hear this, guys. Okay, let me show the camera. I love my mom. You guys, my mom. She's my baby girl. She's my best friend. I love her so much. Like, I love her to death. But when I was growing up, you guys, that I used to have the water phobia, right? I didn't know how to swim, but that has a story, got a history behind why I didn't know how to swim. So growing up, when I was a kid, my mom, she was a teacher, and you were going in the, I mean, she was teaching in the same school that I was studying, and as a kid, I really wanted to swim, right? I really wanted to swim, and so during the break, because we usually have break for like, it was for almost like 1 hour break from 10 a.m. all the way to 11 a.m. So during that break, me and some other classmates, we actually get out of school and we went to this one dam somewhere there, to one dam to swim, because we always like wanted to swim, and we always go out, just go there and to swim. So we went all the way down there, and everybody was swimming, but for me, I was still scared of water, so I was just inside the water, and I was just standing there. But everybody was swimming. So all of a sudden, my mom, she came all the way from school. She asked her, our classmate that, okay, where's Mika? Where are the students? They're like, okay, they're swimming down there. Some kids snitched on us. So my mom came all the way to that place, and she came with a stick. She found us swimming. She found us swimming, Marie. She found us swimming. And so she took all of us, like she found like there were kids inside the water, like naked. For me, I didn't even took off my pants. I was just inside the water with the pants. But she came there, she took all of us, we walked all the way to the class. We went all the way to the class, and she punished everybody. Like everybody was punished. First, because we were swimming in the dirty waters, because it was dirty water. Second, because we ran out of school, during the break time. And it was break time. It was not a class time. Anyway. But then when she came to me, for me, she punished me even more. For other kids, she was like this. Stop. Stop. But for me, this is what she did. Let me show you. She stood up. And she did like this. Just like, hey, my
Oh dear.
That's how she did. That's how she punished me, and not one time. She did like 5 different times. For other kids, she just did twice. For me, she did 5 times, and she didn't say anything. But I knew as a kid, okay, she's setting an example. She's beating her like her son more than anybody. Tell that, like, you guys, you should not go to swim. But then that really broke my heart. Since that day, I was scared to go to swim. Not just because of water, but I was scared because I knew that my mom, she's going to come and punish me. So since that day, I was just a little kid. I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was just in grade 4. That's in my language we say. She punished me like that. Since that day, I was like, I'm never going to swim ever again, because I don't want to be punished like that. And my mom, she went to military. So when she hit you with one, like, when she whipped you like this, man, you're going to feel that pain for the whole week. That's how she did. Wow. But then I came to overcome that fear just recently, like a couple months ago. I came to overcome it. I'm 29 years old, and I was just a little kid back then. So in a way, it was kind of like a little trauma for me to get back and to be friendly with water because of what happened in the past.
Yes.
But you can imagine, what if throughout those years, maybe let's say I got an accident, I fell into the water onto the dam. Maybe I could have died because I don't even know how to swim. I'm scared of water. Like the moment I just jump in, I die. So these are little, things that happen. I think, for me, I believe there was still another better way to punish me or to punish us. Because that was my first time to try that. It was still another way to sit down with me, that my son, all right, this water is really dirty. All this and this and this, explain whatever. This, even if like, in a way that, okay, kids don't really understand all the time, but I still believe there's a better way, to address that issue in a way that I'll not be scared of water. I'll not be fear of water because of what I got from my mom. So whenever I tell my mom that story, she always laughs. And she still thinks she was right, but I always tell her, Mama, you could have done better.
Oh, boy.
So right here, I have another guy here. I have Paul. Paul Kilagazwe, and I know Paul Kilagazwe, the host of Swahili Session. I believe he was also abused very well when he was a little kid. I don't know his story, but man, come here. This is the first time you're gonna be in the same. Come here. You gotta tell us your story. Tell us your story. We wanna know if you were punished by any chance when you were a little kid. I have Kilagazo here. What's up, Kilagazo?
Very Paul. I'm still learning.
What is salama? You tell us, Kilagazo, your childhood. What happened to you? Like, were you punished? Like, it's a time to open up. Punished like a thief, or were you punished with love? You know what I'm saying? Like you do some wrong.
Yeah.
Your parents punished you with love. Of course, they can spank you, but not like a slave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
I remember my dad. He took this electricity wire. You know, electricity wire, like the steel one, and he had that. That's the one he used to spank us. Man, if he spank you, you cannot sit on the chair. Like if I go to the chair like this, I used to sit like at the edge of the chair like this. I'm sitting with my back, not my. What is this we call? What do we call this thing? Makalia. What do we call it? Not buttocks. Not with your buttocks. Yeah, you sleep with your back. That's what happened when my dad punished me.
Wow.
What about you, Paul?
On my side, as you said before, that I've never been punished like a slave.
Really?
Always, because I was raised by grandmom and grandfather.
Oh,
as you know that.
Oh yeah,
grandmom and grandfather.
That's the best experience.
Always that they raise kids with full of love.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
Man, he was raised with grandmama and granddaddy. You understand that? That's the best way to be raised.
Yeah, me too, but they were strict. Mine was strict. Both of them.
They spanked you a lot? Wow. I wish I was raised. Okay, anyways, I should not wish that. But what about you guys who are watching here, man? Well, what are your experiences? Is this something that you're experiencing, before in the past? I'll put this article here again. It said, when children are exposed to violence in home, there's a high possibility for a boy when he grows up to become a perpetrator, and for a girl when she grows up to become a victim. Hey, man. Oh yeah. Hey, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Mika meets here with his friends here, and one of the fan of Swahili Nation. So just saying hi to him.
Thank you for the wonderful Swahili session, there, Paul. Yeah.
Pardon?
Thank you for the wonderful Swahili sessions. Kiswahili sessions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what the topic it is. That's why I can't say anything. So
Okay.
I came here late, so I don't know what were you talking about.
Corporal punishment for children. Severe corporal punishment. Flogging, like beating.
Okay.
That's a special day.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the topic. I'm not sure whether you saw the photo, but it was really a severe beating.
As I told you.
Oh, okay.
Posted the photo earlier this morning.
The voice is too little.
Yeah.
I don't know is a problem. Mika, come on. Your session, Mika.
Supporters.
Oh, okay, Mariette, that's a blessing, Paul. Thank you so much, Mariette.
Okay.
Mariette, my father also used the kind of a streak. Normally used to pay the cabin.
Nashukuru sana. Hata kijana yupo Udizim naye anasoma habari, ndio nafanya naye kazi pia. Tunajua watu wa habari na wahitaji siku zote. Tukaje kamaliza widizi mwaka jana.
No, okay.
That's a very good comment, Marie. She should have sent you to swimming class. I agree.
What you say?
No, I was reading Marit's comment. She wrote she should have sent you to swimming class. I agree.
Exactly. I mean, like after yeah, that's so true. That's how you teach me how to behave. If you don't want me to go to the like dirty dams to swim, okay, but in my town I don't know if they had. I mean, I think they didn't even have swimming classes, you know, because it's kind of like village, so there's no swimming classes there. But that's one of the ways, and it can be done these days, that you don't want your kids to go and to be exposed to dirty waters. You open some swimming classes for them to go there. Yeah, that's absolutely right. My father also used kind of stick he normally used to beat the carpet. Wow. So you have that experience too, Marit. I'm sorry to hear that. We're all victims here.
Yes.
We're all the victims here.
We're having a flogging anonymous meeting here.
I gotta say this, man. Like, this is very personal to me, Cherie, because there was a moment. There was a time in my life I felt like I was adopted. Can you imagine?
Me too.
I grew up feeling that. Like, I grew up feeling like I think I'm not a kid of this family because of how I was punished. And I was not that rebellious kid. I was not that kind of kid. Mm-hmm. So you imagine kid feeling that way, like feeling like, oh, this must not be my parents. You cannot punish me. When I was a little young, my mom was punishing me. But when I grew up, my mom stopped. So my dad started to punish me. I think that's why I like my mom kind of more. I love them both, but I like my mom more. You know what I mean? Because when I grew up, my dad punished me a lot. So
right.
He's a sweet guy. Like, he's a sweet guy. He's really sweet guy. These days, I talk to him, I have fun with him, I joke with him. These days I punish him, I punish him. When he don't eat and he don't do all those kind of stuff, oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyways.
Wow.
Well, the bottom line is, if you're a parent and you're watching this live stream right now, just know that there's always a better way. And I think we need to add maybe this, in our policies and in our schools, so that, when the kids growing up, I mean, in school, they learn these things, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's not just parents, but even teachers, they punish kids a lot. There's some teachers that, they just there to punish kids, and I think they need to be held accountable, so that we may raise our kids more with love and not like the way we do. Like, you can look at these pictures and you can realize, like, you can imagine how much stress they're going through, mentally, physically, how these kids are going through, It's really sad.
Yeah. It creates emotionally dysregulated children. We really should use emotional intelligence and reasoning from. They're never too young. You see, there are ways to do it. There are ways to do it without this type of brutality.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, so what do you think is the solution, Shari? What to be done to stop this?
Well, you actually said it perfectly, Miko. Returning to the early methods of storytelling for especially for young children. Storytelling, reasoning, analyzing, the consequences of the action that the child wants to participate in that is not beneficial to him or her. You know, if we look at Anansi's stories, we'll see in Aesop's fables certain values being taught. We have lost a lot of those stories. We need to either, well, retrieve the ones that could be found and create new stories. See, the principles will still be retained. So stories, music, because, you know, to calm a child who is emotionally dysregulated, drawing and music work wonders. So all these methods, I'll send some documentation, and we can, I noticed you said you wanted to include that in the policies of our institution. We could introduce new policies based on the documentation that I will send you later today.
And 100%. Of that, we need to get back to traditional practices of how children were raised, teaching values through storytelling and illustration. Yeah. And I really remember this.
Soothing music.
Oh yeah. I actually remember this. This is one of the ways as well. Even my dad used this, even though, you know, I was beaten too, but they use this. You know, he will always, you know, read some stories, you know, stories. Yeah, man, I remember that. Stories of, you know, even though it was more spiritual, but it was, you know, he would always read stories of, you know, kids who were like rebellious, you know, and what happened to them, you know, that they went to hell, you know, all those kind of stories. So yeah, so he was really reading a lot of stories back in the days. Now I remember, you know, those books, I used to love them. He would just read to us. Oh man, I need to go back home and take those books, because I'll be reading for my babies too.
Yes,
you know, that's really cool.
My mother used to read a series of stories as well. We don't have those books anymore, but I saw them on the internet some time ago, and I could check to see whether they're still there.
Yeah,
they were spiritual as well. So I'll look at them today. Yes.
Appreciate. Well, let me remind my people a little bit that, guys, for those who still don't know or they haven't donated yet for the cause, I want to invite you guys to do that. So to donate. Our journey is still, you know, we have a long way to go, still raising some money for the offices. And right here we have already 131 people donated, 3,711. The last person donated like 1 day ago, so I appreciate to Felicia Asi Edu for your donation. Very generosity, 50 euro. You know, that's a lot, so we really appreciate you for that. If we'll have like 10 people donating 50 euros in that way, man, we'll be far away today, you know. So I wanna invite those who haven't, you know, play a part in the donation. The link is in the comment section. Our sister Marie Antoinette, she just shared them. So go through that link and support. And yeah, support this. So yeah, we're gonna be back in just a second to close the session.
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us about Africa?
Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man, that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere
to divide Africa like a piece of cake because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them.
Hey Marie, so Mr. Sharif, do you have anything that you wanna add for the last time as a final thought, and then we'll be getting out of here?
Well, I would like to reiterate that there's no shame in reading parenting techniques from the Chabad. I'll write Chabad and combine it with our traditional methods using storytelling, music, especially the Kura from the Kura, which is from Mali. I probably mispronounced it, but it's a musical instrument from Mali. I can send you several samples of the music. The most known musicians are Balake Sissoko, Tumani Diabate, Sidiki Diabate, and there is Sona Jobate. I'm sure I mispronounced that. And, Sekou Keita, he is from Senegal. The most prominent kora players tend to be from Mali, Senegal, and the Gambia. I'm sure there are others, but those are the most famous ones are from those three countries of our beloved continent. So I would like us to return to our original creativity and emotional intelligence in parenting. Emotional intelligence is not a new concept. We were practicing it long before the term emotional intelligence was even coined. So we should return to our original empathy, compassion, and emotional intelligence in dealing with our children. So that's what I would like to leave. And you can expect some more resources from me later today. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I appreciate Sherry for joining me here today and for your contribution.
Okay. Always a pleasure, Miko.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, Mika. Bye. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah. All right, I'll pray a little quick and then I'll be getting out of here. God, I thank you for today. Thank you for this session. Thank you for our conversations that we're having. What we want to have a community that will, love one another. The community that will be built with peace and love and unity, so that we may have the Africa we want. And in order to have that, there's a lot of work needs to be done. And chief among those is to humble ourselves and and to be the change that we need to see in this continent. Thank you, because you're helping us, you're guiding us through that direction, and surely we'll see one Africa in our generation. Give us wisdom on how to raise our kids. Give us wisdom on how to treat young people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Bye-bye, everybody. Use the link there to donate. I'll appreciate you guys doing that. Until next time, I'm out of here.
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now in Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them.